Grace and skill, you have abundance. Welcome to the Psychic Hour. Host Kelly Brickle is a psychic medium, numerologist, healer, and teacher. Her passions are learning about the soul and energy. Whether through spirit, emotion, or vibrational numbers, there is always a pathway of information waiting to help. Now, here is your host of the Psychic Hour, Kelly Brickle.
It is such a mischievous day today. I don't know what it is. It's not like a vibration of 5 or a vibration of 4-2. 1 today. Okay, a 4-2-1 is usually not so mischievous, but I don't know what it is. But you have to embrace the day, and the whole topic of the day that we're diving into, for everybody coming on in and just bearing with us for a couple seconds as we fix the echo. It's about letting go and letting the way appear. So whatever you find yourself kind of in, whether it's something unexpected or planned, you go, well, this is just what I have, the elements at play, the scenario. This is just where I am. And as long as I have the intention, I will make it through the forest or the jungle. I'm going to make it through to the other side. And I know a lot of people, when they are in the energy of the new year, the energy of something fresh, they go, okay, I have cleared all that uncertainty. And now I have my goals of what I'm going to do. And I'm not confused. I know exactly what I want. I'm going to go forward and let's get it. Fresh start, new year. And then suddenly the circumstances start to creep in and you go, this is really difficult. I thought it would be a little bit easier, or maybe it's them, not me. And we start to find ourselves again in this kind of complexity. And I know that whatever I get coming my way, it teaches me about what I need to do exactly through that lesson, whether it's the tenacity, whether it's the focus, whether it's the creativity, whether it's the certainty of I need to get from A to B no matter what, the way appears. And I do think that goes with most things. You never know what you're going to get. And as long as you keep going the way it appears, and I know a lot of times when people are dealing with the vibration of 1 energy. And so that's very similar to fresh start energy with the new year, but people who have a lot of 1s within their charts, or they're having them come up for their year, it personifies throughout their days and months. So it works a little bit differently with how it factions in. But there is that emphasis on the energy. People do feel this newness, but as the months go on, they feel the frustration. They think something's not working. Something must not be right. And they stop believing in themselves because it's so self-activated. It's so motivational when you have all this new, fresh energy that you go, okay, I'm brimming. I'm full of fire, right? That the fire to create. And then all of a sudden, wow, it must not be what I thought it was. And it's really, you have to go through the fires to cultivate yourself. You have to go through the fires to burn and become the phoenix. And that's all about rebirth energy. It really is. So even if you have to find yourself birthing your dream, your idea, or even your self in general multiple times as you're in this new year, and we'll hit the full year of the dragon energy February 10th, because that's when the new moon is, to usher in the year of the wind dragon. When you find yourself really feeling the new year, just remind yourself you're going to have to change and rebirth, and you're going to have to reset. And all of it is going right. All of it is going on schedule cosmically, but not personally. Okay. So we fly on the cosmic winds and we go, this is the forecast. I can't read it, but I'm going to feel it. I can't necessarily think it, but if I want to tap into it, as sometimes us readers do, I'm going to feel it and I'm going to sense it and I'm going to let it guide me, and I'm going to just trust the process and the way it will appear. So through hard work and trust, the way always appears. And that's how you'll find your way, because maybe that first path is supposed to fork. Maybe it's supposed to fork more than once to get you to the right people, the right circumstance, and the right timeline, even. A lot of times, timing is very funny. I know it has been all day long, very funny. Um, so maybe you're supposed to do that event or meet that person or start that project in March. And you think, oh gosh, it should have happened by January 31st. What am I thinking? First of the year, first month of the year. Come on, come on. And maybe it's supposed to happen in April or June. And that's the exact perfect timeline. The exact person is going to come forth, the exact circumstances make it easy for you, and you feel, gosh, this is so tailor-made for me. So just trust the process, and the cosmic forecasts. Continue to just sense and feel, and see what comes forth without overthinking or expecting things to be right on time with your own personal clock. Okay, so with that said, we're going to bring Maggie in. Maggie Winokur. She is a clairvoyant psychic medium and a healer and a teacher, and I want to give her a warm welcome. Hello.
Hi, Kelly. Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for asking me to be here today, Kelly. I'm super excited.
Oh gosh. Of course. I love you, Maggie. Of course. I've had the pleasure of knowing Maggie for a little bit, but besides that, oh my God, she's just such a wonderful reader, and she has so much heart. And so it's a pleasure. And your mind has so much detail. And I love the way that you explain things and see things. So of course, yes.
Thank you so much. That means a lot coming from you. And I love watching your show. So I'm really happy to get to communicate and connect with all of your viewers and be here and listen to you live. I'm very, very, very excited. And I love this topic. Where do we start?
Okay. Yes. So I want to let everybody know who you are to begin. So everyone coming in really quick. Hello, Aspen. Hello, Jennifer. Hello, Amanda. Thank you. And to let everybody know about Maggie. Maggie Winokur is a clairvoyant psychic medium, healer, and master teacher through LWISSD. She's skilled in helping others tap into their highest selves, offering clarity on life's intricacies and unlocking potential. As a medium, Maggie bridges the gap between this world and the spirit realm, delivering heartwarming messages that demonstrate the continuity of life and love beyond our physical existence. With over 25 years of experience as a wellness and energy healing practitioner, Maggie combines professional training from places like Arthur Findlay College with her personal growth experiences. Maggie's quest for deeper understanding is a lifelong pursuit, and she's dedicated to helping others feel the serenity that she experiences herself when connecting with spirit. Welcome.
Thank you. That was beautiful.
Hey, it's like, I love celebrating people, and that is your life, and you do so many wonderful things. So as a healer and a reader, I know you offer multiple readings. You do soul readings as well as psychic mediumship readings. And can you kind of take me into the differences of those two?
Sure. My experience in the interior design world, as well as in the wellness and healing, doing energy work, massage therapy, skincare, and spiritual body care, kind of took me into this realm where I started. And my dad worked with color. He could always see color. So I always had this thing. When I was a kid, I would paint my room different colors, like every year, every 8 months. And my parents would literally let me go in at 10 years old with gallons of paint and paint my room, because color was always really important to me. So color is something that I use in all my readings. And I guess I should preface this to say, I wanted to talk specifically about soul readings, the soul readings that I do, where I work through the color of the soul and connect into the celestial level, the spiritual level. And by using the auric colors, I work with where your soul's purpose is, what your spiritual gifts are, what may have happened to you as a child that kind of stymied those a little bit or put them aside or actually make them flourish and blossom, and how you can work where you are today with your natural gifts and breathe them into fruition and take them above and beyond. Your wildest imaginations. And actually, I believe we can all work and be psychic mediums, healers, and we all are here, whether you are actually using your natural born gifts or not right now. They're all there for our access. And color is one that we can really all look at and see and use.
Yeah, color is fantastically powerful. So being psychic medium, did you find that your gifts kind of started to come up visually first for you? Or
Yeah,
yes.
absolutely. Absolutely. I remember even like being like 6 years old and being in church and seeing angels, what I thought were angels, and they came in as colors. And I would talk to my mom. She's like, "Oh, no, no, no. I mean, I know I tell you that angels are real, but you're not seeing them. Only priests can see them." But they would literally come in as colors and colors of energy in there. And all of my life, I've kind of seen things. And I mean, feeling is very strong to me as well. But seeing the clairvoyance and seeing within the color, the realm of color has just been very, very natural to me. When I started doing body work and skincare, I would often start to see energy coming from a person that was a color when there was a pain or an illness or someplace that needed to be healing. And when I was little, I would see colors in my friends, and they would either feel like, "Oh, that's good color. Ooh, that's bad color," depending on what was going on with them. I couldn't really know, what it meant and why, but it was either kind of felt good or bad and was often seen clairvoyantly through the use of color.
I know a lot of people, they sometimes will feel and see colors at the same time, or sometimes they feel first and then they start to see. What was your experience with color, and what is your experience, I guess, then to now? How has it changed?
I guess it's not so much as see as it is perceive, because
Ah, okay.
color is a vibration, and color has a vibration, and color has an energy, and all energy is healing. So it's more about perceiving and feeling and kind of knowing what a color might be. It might just come into your mind's eye. You don't have to physically. I'm not saying I physically always saw those colors. It was in my mind's eye. The difference is now through working with it and having more formal training, I actually believe what I'm seeing and hearing and feeling, and have found a way to kind of make my own color vocabulary from seeing things and working with people over and over, where I believe that spirit will sometimes use the shortest bits of information to get their point across. And color is one thing that I can start like as a jumping off point in a reading. And I
Yeah.
will receive that, feel it, kind of know a few things, and then that will take me off into another level of using another clairvoyance moves into clairsentience or clairaudience, feeling, seeing, hearing, knowing.
No,
So
I do think it kind of opens up the energy very naturally if that is a strong suit. You just start to dive into the color. And did you, in the beginning with people, were you, did, because you had your mom telling you that the angels and the colors weren't real, did you doubt yourself, or did your
absolutely.
dad, being so connected with color, did he kind of encourage that?
My dad worked professionally with color. So, yes, I definitely doubted myself, and I shut down for quite a few years. I'm not saying I never had any experiences anymore, but I wasn't trusting what I got. And that's so much for all of us coming into this world or having an interest. We are here today because we have an interest in this world, which means we have gifts in this world, and we're looking for a way to open them up. And working with color for anybody in the show is just so easy. You can just even sit with ribbons as a way, using color. Let me just preface this: using color as a tool to open your intuition, to open your clairvoyance. And you can sit with different colored ribbons and hold on to them and just close your eyes And so what do you see? What do you feel? What do you know about that color? And you can write those down and start making your own vocabulary. So it was after I started working with Colin Bates. He's a teacher. He's an Arthur Findlay tutor, mentor. He works a lot with color. I really started opening up and using it and trusting it and working it with it to a level that I felt comfortable working with other people and trusting that when I'm tuning into the aura, that I'm seeing what I'm seeing, and I trust that information. And also, the more I see a certain color and it means something with somebody, the more that you trust that, you just start keeping track of your wins, like all of us when we're working with our own intuition. Keep track of your wins. Oh, I thought so-and-so called, and yes, it was. Yay.
I do believe in that. There's certain energy that we link into very naturally, or we find ourselves kind of in this rhythm of, oh, I seem to know that. How do I know that? When I started becoming sensitive to seeing and colors, I would have specific colors that would come up more often than others. Did you find that for yourself?
Um,
And everyone's different. I'm just curious how the process went. For whatever
Yeah.
reason, I would not find myself seeing oranges or reds hardly ever, or even greens hardly. Those opened up later for me. I'd see certain colors, and then the spectrum kind of, got wider and wider. So how did it go for you?
That makes sense. Something happened to me many years ago. My ex-husband was an artist. He actually passed recently. He was an artist, and he was completely colorblind. And I remember, this is before we were married. I'm watching him draw using all these colors, and he's picking up the correct color. And I'm like, how do you know that this is red? How do you know that this is green? And he said, I feel it. I just feel it. So this is way before I had done any development. So I started picking up those colored pencils, and I could feel what he felt. And he was not a psychic medium. He was an artist who was colorblind, who just was trusting his own intuition. And sometimes people had a blue face or something, and they shouldn't. But I think the primary colors are easier to see in general. And I think it depends. For instance, in how I work, I believe that the warm colors, reds, yellow, oranges, those are channeled through the earth, through the earth energy. And I believe that the more cool colors, the blues and the greens and the lavenders, the purples, those are channeled through the crown chakra. So if you have a different entrance point to see color vibrationally through your own auric field, that may be why you see certain colors first. You also may be drawn to a certain color, and that's why you see it more, or the people that you surround yourself with, that you are open up to their energy, or the items, because items can have a color energy too.
Wow, I usually don't see items having a color energy. So can you describe that? I'm curious.
Yeah, so I think many items to me have a male or female energy.
Ooh.
And food, you can, like all food, this is a boy's food, this is a girl's food. So items to me are male and female. And I think it's because I grew up in a very male dominant house. So there was so much male energy, and I was just like this divine female priestess, little beardo energy as a kid. So yes, so I have a tendency to feel into things. And some things are by energy, and some things are more feminine or masculine just due to the nature. And sometimes it's the color that will make items more male or female. Like a lipstick could be more female. But a pale pink is going to feel much more feminine to me than a deeper, darker burgundy, which would be a masculine color to me, which would feel more masculine, feel more powerful, feel more of intensity.
That makes sense. Okay, so you have like these like codes almost, where you feel into something, you go masculine, feminine, this
Mhm.
color, this way. I feel now this from that. And with that said, in just the realm of color, what are some of, I guess, your identifiers if you see just even simple colors like a standard red or blue, because there's, like you said, burgundy, and then there's rose, and then there's, right,
Right.
all these different reds. But if you just see a red, like what
Okay.
usually does that make you feel, or a blue, or
So let's go with red. Red for me is the color of courage. It's the color of passion. It's the color of love. And those are all kind of general colors. When I see red in an auric, I often know, especially if it's a deep red, that it's somebody that has loved and not been loved back, and they haven't been able to have let go of that. I will also see the red color in politicians. I will see it in actors, can sometimes have red in them. So there's different jobs that go with it. A red person also has a lot of fiery energy about them, and they walk in the door with themselves in front. I mean, you cannot miss a red person. On the opposite side, they can tend to be a little domineering. They can tend to be a little overbearing. They can tend to be a little bit arrogant. But if we add some white to this, which is purity, which is honesty, which is the divine feminine, then it starts softening and we get pink. And pink to me is the color of love. It's a color of sensitivity. For me personally, pink also has to do with the mother. So there is definitely a connection with the mother. Either you may have had issues with your mother. There is an unusual relationship with your mother, depending on what other colors are coming around. For me, pink is also the color of selflessness. Somebody with a lot of pink may even give too much of themselves. They may be caretakers and not taking well enough care of themselves. That rose color that you talk about, that's a very, very high vibration because it has a little more red in it and it has softened it. And a rose person knows when to get going and when to stop. It's a really beautiful balance of the red and the white. They know when to rev their engines and they know when to turn it off.
I like that. I like that. There's like a grace with the physicality.
Rose, yes, a grace. That's a very nice way of putting that.
With red vibrations, do you notice that people are usually like leaders, or they want to be in charge, or are they just very enthusiastic with what can be done?
All of the above. And it also depends, all of the above. It also depends, like you don't have just a color. I don't believe, and this is all me working with things. There is no code book on this. We don't know if this is truth. It's how you believe, play it with yourself, play with yourself. So there's different levels of the auric field. So when you're tuning into the color of the aura, if you're tuning into like the physical aura, the etheric aura, or that first layer, that can change every day. That can change throughout the day. So it doesn't mean just because you're feeling it, red can be a really great color. And people can walk in with that first, and the next day they don't have that. But in your spiritual aura, your celestial aura, level 6, where you find your soul's purpose, where a soul reading comes in, and your naturally born, God-given spiritual gifts, and things that you may just be naturally good at, that doesn't change as much.
That's more the eternal part of us. It's more
Yes.
kind of the essence of what we've gathered throughout multiple lifetimes.
And I find with people with red, and I don't see, red is not as common of a color as you think, actually. Red is for me reading, red is a less common color for me to read than, blues, greens, purples, yellows. And then you start out reading more of the primary, but once you start working with color and you ask, so it's all about intention. You just ask to be shown other colors, ask for spirit, the auric field, start setting intention to be shown other colors, because you might start out really just working with a beautiful violet color. But as you start to work with, then you can start seeing lavenders and indigos and different shades of it.
There's really so much. So just with the primaries, how about yellow and blue? What represents those vibrations?
So yellow for me is the color of higher learning, intelligence, communication. Yellows have a lot of, they're motivators. They might be speakers, counselors, teachers, therapists. I find with a lot of yellow, there's almost all the signs have some creativity to it. And yellows have not as creative as orange, but we are already beginning the orange color. Orange has yellow in it, so there's creativity in the yellow. They're often also just sunshiny people that walk in the door with a smile on their face and make people feel really warm and happy and loving. But often the gift of communication and teaching, higher learning, higher education, professors, you'll find a lot of yellow in. And blue, go ahead. You ask, Kelly. I don't want to just talk the whole time.
No, it's great. With yellow and how you see it on people who are teachers or professors sharing of higher learning, do you see it usually in certain places, their aura or their body specifically, or is it all around them? I mean, it could be different places at different times, of course, but how do you usually see it with yellow?
That's really a really good question. So everybody is so different. Oh, this is a complicated question, but in a nutshell, when I first look at something, I'm just kind of seeing it around their body. But as you continue to look, you might find it in the heart. You might find it in the solar plexus. Yellow is something I will often see shining around a body. And I often will look, but I'm not doing a spiritual, when I'm not doing a soul to soul reading, but I'm using the aura just to tap in psychically. I will often see the first color that you see is right now, and the next color is out 6 months, and the next color is out a year. So I'll read like that. And so yellow is often seen kind of all around the body. You can see it just in the mind's eye, which would tell me that they may have other things for their personality, but they have a higher intelligence. They have a lot of brain power. They have a lot of thirst for knowledge. They're also a very positive person where they know they can get another degree and another degree. They don't walk around thinking they're stupid. They are very confident people in how they gather. I would also want to say, if I saw that in somebody, they might have a memory like an elephant, that they don't forget things. When I just tap into that psychically, that's what I pick up on.
They have a large well.
Silver coming down from the sky, like from the heavens into the crown chakra. And I know that, and you can see that with any color. That's like a spiritual download, or that's a download you're getting into your brain, into your body at that time.
How about with blue? If I'm curious about silver too, but I'm gonna jump to blue for a second. There's so many different types of blue.
I know there's so many types of blues. I'm going to talk about my favorite blue to see. Well, blue in general is the color of balance. It is 100% the color of the medium. When you are seeing blue in somebody's aura, in the spiritual level of the aura, and even almost all levels of the aura, there is mediumship abilities, whether they are using them or not. They have a divine gift to connect with the other side. Blues are also very inspirational. They have a lot of faith. They have a nice balance about them. They have a lot of empathy and devotion. And then there's one particular color that I call Mary's robes, the colors of Mary's robes. So if you can visualize, whether you're religious or not, I grew up Catholic. I don't practice it anymore, but there's certain experiences from that religion that I like. And one of them is Mother Mary. And when I see her, this particular color blue that I call the blue of Mary's robes, I know that that person has a connection with Mary, whether they're aware of it or not. But often they do. They relate to her. And then the darker blues, like the indigos. The indigo is like when you're seeing the night sky, and that's the color of a high spiritual leader. It's the color of integrity, spirit guides. It's the color of philosophy, seership, spiritual teachings. It's a higher level of color of spiritual knowledge when I see that. And that's something that's like what you were saying. What do you see? I see that less often.
So do you see, when you know someone has a gift, do you usually see the blues, or do you see a little bit of purple and a blue, or is it usually just...
Yeah, the purple, because purple is also spiritual knowledge. It doesn't necessarily, blue is mediumship, like that particular spiritual gift. But purple...
What shade of blue usually is it, if I'm curious?
I'm going to say what I am curious. Consider like a royally medium blue, like a royal blue. Not
sense.
dark blue and not that greeny, well, kind of a turquoise cornflower blue of Mary's robes, a little bit deeper. I don't know. I can see the color in the background you have here. It's like a royal blue. And it could be different
Yeah,
levels of intensity depending on how you're using it.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yes, makes sense. With when you see someone have purple, then what does it let you know about them? Like,
Okay.
let's say you have a person who's a medium that has additional purple, or a
Yeah.
psychic that has additional purple.
And for me, when I see purple, it's spiritual regeneration. Somebody that has coming in or already in their spiritual work. It means to me, it's as a friend, they're really trustworthy. They're really loyal. They also can be a little bit airy fairy at times. You can be off with the fairies at times, even though you're wonderfully loyal. They are seekers. They are seers. They're everybody that's sitting here today watching your program probably has some purple in there because
They're
there's
having
certain
the purple
mystic.
swirl.
Yeah, yes.
That makes sense.
And you
That
don't
makes
just see
sense.
one color. I mean, people have multiple of colors. So if you were to see a lot of purple and a lot of indigo, you already know they're a medium without just seeing that, a blue in it. But especially people that have not yet developed their powers as a medium, you may not see the purple unless you may not see an indigo. Definitely, you're not going to see an indigo or the night sky. But you would see blue, you could see purple. So you just kind of feel it out as well. It's all intuitive. There's not a book on this and what that means to you.
Yeah.
They're
And there's
general.
different philosophies.
Yes.
But I love hearing yours. So
Yeah.
do you see things within people, let's say, who are healers? Is their energy a certain way? Or let's say if they're primarily just psychic, or they have a certain skill set of gifts, what have you seen that's different from a medium within the
Sure.
color?
Let's talk about healing. Let me go back to the red for a second,
Yeah.
because
Yeah, let's do
and
it.
this is just a little bit of a side, but when you're using colors for healing, red, although it's a strong, powerful color, red is something you would not necessarily use in healing. So if you were to work with somebody, I mean, there's a way to use it, but let's say if you're working with somebody that has, inflammation and their skin is hot and inflamed, you want to send them blue. So blue usually counteracts that. So red is you have to use really careful when you're using it in healing and sending energy. You might want to send pink. You might want to send the rose that we talked about. So different colors in that is used for healing, or if you're infusing water, or if you're infusing cloth, or you're just doing visually sending this color energy, you want to be careful with using the red color. And then going back to, can you ask that question again? I'm sorry, I wanted to make sure I wanted to talk about that because we had talked so much about the red.
I love that. You're making me think about other things too.
Healers,
No,
colors
so
for
I'll
healers.
I'll ask both because I
Yeah.
love them. So the first question
Orange.
was kind of like, do you see different colors within people? Like, let's say
Yeah.
if they're more of a healer or more of a
Orange.
psychic versus a medium.
Mhm.
And then we'll go back into healing with color because I love that. So,
Sure.
okay, whatever comes up naturally.
Thanks, Kelly. Yes, one of the strongest colors, unusual, at least for me, is orange. Orange is the color of the healer. And orange is also the color of the creator, the color of the person that is kind of out of the box. And it's interestingly enough, it is the number one favorite color in psychology today of people with mental illness, because they're kind of out there and they're really connected with orange. I love orange.
Oh, that makes sense, though.
Orange is also, oh my gosh, optimists. People that are more positive have orange. Writers have orange in them. And orange is warm, sunny, kind of like yellow, but a little more of the creative. And really, it is absolutely the color of the natural born healer you're going to find in the orange. Free thinkers have orange in them.
I think, like, in order to be an energy healer, so there's many different types of healers, but in order to be an energy healer, you really have to think outside the box, because people have different needs. Like you said, like sending them, let's say, like a blue because they need cooling, or they need something very specific. to unlock, let's say, energy or to move or open up energy. And so you have to be very creative, and you're giving somebody a feel-good feeling. So you have to come from this place of uplifting energy. So it makes sense. And even when you
You
said,
have a
like,
lot of that orange, Kelly.
I do.
Yes.
I gotta check on my mental well-being.
No, it's not that part of it. It's just that they're
I'm
creative
joking.
and thinking, right?
I think orange is the color of like joy and pleasure. And I think when people are dysregulated, they really are looking for those things. So I can totally understand how people will gravitate to orange to try to balance, because certain colors do balance. And
And
I
orange
love that.
is the solar plexus, so it's the seat of our power. And it's warming, and they're very lovely, lovely people to be around. People that have a lot of orange, they're very warming. They make other people feel good without being overly caretaking, like somebody that has too much pink in them that can be overly caretaking. Orange is an amazing color to have.
And you're correct. Like, I want to give you like validation. When I get aura photography, I don't get it often, but I get it, from time to time, spread out throughout my life. The most dominant color usually is orange.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you can sense it.
Good. Yes. And you have the blue, and you also have the night sky, which is a spiritual teacher. And when I see the night sky, can I tell the little story that I have about the night sky?
Yeah, please do.
So, when I was working with Colin Bates, he's the one that's really opened my eyes to how to work with color and how to access my intuition on this. And we were doing a blindfolded reading where we have blindfolds on, and I have to do this color reading. So I have no idea who's sitting in front of me. And it was, towards the beginning of my journey working with him. I mentored with him for 3 years. And I saw this amazing, and the person I was working with, this amazing night sky with these shooting stars. And I just knew that this person came down to this earth to be a spiritual teacher, leader, philosopher. I knew that he was born with many of these gifts, but he was also a deep seeker and had done a lot of work on himself to become this universal teacher, and that the knowledge of the universe was just sparking inside of him. And when I took my blindfold off, I saw that it was my teacher. So those are the types of little pops of things that are like, oh yes, this is now in my repertoire. And when I see this now, it only happens, once in a while. Kelly, you have that in you. Absolutely. That somebody is here for a higher purpose. You're welcome.
Thank you. I love different shades of blue. I really do.
Yeah.
And there's certain, you're right. There's certain
favorite color of it's like 80% of the population. I have it here somewhere. Their favorite color is blue.
People love blue. People love blue. My favorite color is red, but I see blue all the time though. That's the one where like I'll close my eyes and it's always blue or purple, or I can see blue, different shades of blue on people, like the easiest. I would say that's the easiest color I can work with, blue.
I think so. And it's a primary, so it's easiest to work with primaries, and different shades will mean different things to you too. So you can just work with blue and the different shades and come up with many, many different meanings of that when you apply your intuition.
And the reason why I gravitate to red is because I feel very grounded by red. So I actually, like growing up, I convinced my parents, at first they didn't want to do it. This is when I'm a teenager, to paint my room a very dark, like brick red shade.
Were you able to sleep in that room?
Yeah, and I loved it. Oh, I felt so comfortable and calm and safe and protected, and I felt so just grounded. Yeah, I felt like it gave me what I needed just to relax. And so, years on by, when I bring like Eric over, and his favorite color is blue. So that's my husband, Eric. And he's just like, oh, it's very unsettling to be in this room because the red makes me feel like on edge a little bit. So, some people do not like red or do not like certain colors for, the way it
for
balances.
you in that red room, It's very embryonic. And I feel like you're connecting literally with the beating heart of Mother Earth. And she is grounding you with her presence. The majority of people, but you're orange, you're unusual, you're a free thinker, you're a psychic medium, you need to be grounded, you're up in your crown chakra all the time. For most people, red, you're going to find red in a dining room. Red can stimulate
Yes.
appetites. It can stimulate conversation. It will keep you awake at night for the general public. Would you or not, Kelly?
I the blue makes me way too mellow. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? The blue makes my brain soupy.
I
Like,
understand. Mhm.
and I know a lot of people who need the blue just feel like I feel with the red. So we're all so different.
Yeah, I love red. I love working with red. I do too.
Do
I
you
like the
have
puppy uppers, not the doggy downers, because I like to be up and energized.
the uplifting?
Just
Do you have a
Jenny.
color for yourself that helps you go,
I like to work with gold.
ooh, yes. Yes.
And
That's a
gold,
wonderful color.
so when I'm just like connecting with why do I like to work with gold? Gold is a kind of the color of royalty. And gold is also, I want to say for me, gold is spiritual knowledge that you were born with and not earned. I mean, it's earned, sorry, it's earned and not that you were born with. So it's something that you've worked on. So there's a special connection with the spiritual, and it's also sparkly, which I like. It is a connection to the sun. It has some yellow in it, it can have some orange in it, and it gives me a lift. So I like working with the color gold. It is also just divine presence of the universe. Yeah.
Gold's fun. Gold's fun. I definitely don't see silver and gold as much, but they're very, very fun.
Very rare, but I do see silver. And I see silver in people that are learning their spiritual craft right now. It is a very, very high spiritual color. It is a color that you have been chosen and that you have like stepped up to the calling, and you're starting to get the spiritual information right now. And you're a highly spiritual person. You've just kind of always been born that way with a sense of knowing what you like, how spirituality works for you. Even though you could have raised with any religion, you've just had a peace with your own personal beliefs of spirituality. And now you're starting to learn. And now you've stepped into your calling. And once you start working, this is when the information is coming in fast. When I see silver, it's like liquid silver. I see it.
Ooh, ooh, that's really cool. That
I
is really
actually
cool.
have a lot of people that are always reading me. They're silver, silver, silver. I have a lot of silver, which is interesting.
You do. You have gold too, though.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
We could get into it, right?
I know. I know. I'm curious what everybody else is seeing when they look at Kelly. What colors do they see?
What colors do you see when you look at Maggie and myself? If anyone is connected to colors,
And
it's
it's
always
actually,
wonderful to
don't see
talk about.
what you see. What do you feel? Like, what do you feel? What do you perceive? Like, close your eyes and kind of, what do you perceive it to be?
Exactly. And everyone has such like different entry points. I know a lot of people who are clairaudient, they really don't see as much. And they kind of have to hear a noise sometimes to access, I guess,
Oh,
opening of energy.
absolutely. I should have mentioned that. You don't have to see this. This is just the vehicle for me. You can hear it. Absolutely. You can sound as a tone. You can feel a color. It may be feel warm. It may feel cool. It may feel like a breeze. You might smell it. You might smell something in the air. Like you might start smelling, for a lemon or
Yes.
pledge or something that reminds you of that color, and you know that it has the properties of that.
Absolutely. I do think that like it highlights people, like we've been talking about a lot. And one of the reasons why I have so much orange is I love cooking and I have a really, really good relationship with food. Like I can think in flavor and I can imagine recipes in my mind. So I have a very, very strong connection to food. Um, and I do think that like just permeates in a part of who I am
Yeah.
with my presence with like that color, right? So we can grab the type of people we are, the things that we do through just that feeling that emanates, and then maybe we'll grab a color with it.
Like
Capri says,
paprika. When you talk about food, the color that comes for you is paprika.
I love paprika. Yeah, I love that color. I love that color. That's one of my favorite colors. Yeah, it's one of my favorite reds. You got it. Caprice says, I feel red for Kelly and green for Maggie today.
Yeah.
That's really interesting, because when I was like looking at you, Maggie, I was like, gosh, there's so much green on you. There was a mixture of like yellow and green coming off of you. Like your words were very healing and your mind was focused and you were like just letting go and coming from the heart, right? And then there was like these streams of like silver and gold when we were like kind of talking about, I guess, more layers of who we are. But yeah.
Can I validate you, Kelly? Can I validate that?
And Caprice too, yeah.
I want to talk about the green, spring green really a bit. And thank you, Caprice, because this is my first podcast I've ever done. So it is a learning experience. And I am venturing out into a lot of new worlds right now. And green is like the beginning of new adventures. And actually, spring green is yellow and the green together. So it's a brand new adventure, either you had just thought of or you've just begun. So that's really interesting. So there's a lot of things in my life that I'm just like in the very budding part of doing. And green is also versatile, methodical, emotional, you know, it can be prosperity, health, wealth, and happiness, money.
Vibrancy, very like the limey spring green.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
but a lot of actually like hits of forest green and emerald green too.
So you're really good with color. You love to work with color.
Oh, I love color. Yes, I do. I love color. That's why I want to have like an extensive conversation with you. Like, well, we are right now, but like
we could do a little class.
Oh gosh, I would love it. I would love it. Color is one of my favorite vehicles too. I don't always use it as often. Usually I'll just be aware of it and I'll notice it and I'll talk with it, but it's just, I'm a very visual person like you are. Like you made a whole career of being visual, and that's how I use a lot of my creativity with visuals, and you do too.
Yeah. And as an interior designer, you know, I work with 25 different shades of white.
Yes. There you go. See,
they're all completely different, and don't get them wrong.
And that will lend itself.
Yeah.
It will lend itself to this work.
Everybody, yeah. And everybody can just like look at a person, start with a color, whatever you perceive and however you perceive it. And that's a good jumping off point for doing an intuitive reading on them.
It is. It is. There's it's a spectrum, you know, like a spectrum of numbers and vibration. It's a spectrum of information, and I love it. And I feel it's just very natural, you know, and for you, it's very natural. And that's why I love talking to you about this. With Caprice too. Yes, I needed additional red, believe me. So Caprice, I hear you. I want to validate you on that. I've been trying to channel some red today. That's for sure. Amanda says, because they're tuning into us, she says, yes, orange and red for Kelly and white, yellow, and orange for Maggie.
I love that. I can see why that would be today too. I'm actually up here speaking, doing some teaching. We have the white, which is understandable, orange, the healing color, and Kelly, you see the orange in you. The red is your favorite. You have the power. You're also in your power right now. I can see that. And you're a very courageous, brave person. And that red comes through with that. That's part of your special, your secret powers. I don't know if you guys know that about Kelly. She's very courageous and very brave.
I definitely try my best. You are too, Maggie. Yep. I definitely, do you always carry a bit of orange with you wherever you go? You have that like just giggly effervescence.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. A bit of crazy with me everywhere I go.
Oh God, but orange is great for that though. Come on now. There's always a playhouse in life to be experienced.
Yeah.
Hello, Jackie. Hello, everybody coming on in. So, yes, whatever people are tuning into, it could be a part of us. It could be something that we are radiating today, or it could be an aspect that we are activating and we're coming into. So, there's a lot of things of why people see color, feel color. Isn't that right, Maggie?
That's absolutely right. Mhm.
It's so subtle too. So, how did you learn about the subtleness of color, and how did you surrender to that?
These are really good questions that make me think. I can go back into working with people before I was trained as a psychic medium when I just had, intuition and would see, hear, feel, know things and not realize why. And I would be working on people energetically and I would start to see color with them. I would go into this altered state and work in this color. So I think I early on became sensitive to it and I feel natural in color, but I just played with it. I just played with it. It's like everything, practice makes perfect and kind of starting to trust yourself. And then I started working with the ribbons to develop my own vocabulary and sitting with a ribbon in meditation. Um, a word, when I was working on it, I would just think about a color and what words come to mind. And then sometimes they work for a reading. And sometimes you think a word comes up for a color. And then you're like, no, that doesn't really apply to that. So it's just training yourself to use color and enjoying it.
And really, I think for
And
me
just
too, and tell
feeling
me
it.
how you feel, Mag. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, feeling it's like we all know how we feel. We talked about when we walk into a room. How did you feel in the green room? How did you feel in the blue room? How do you feel on a sunny day compared to a gray, cloudy day?
Yes.
Tune into that, your emotions surrounding around color.
Um, with our environment, with you talking about the weather and how does it feel on a rainy day or a sunny day, we don't have qualms over just going, "Oh, that's right in front of us. Well, that's
Right.
reality. Okay, my experience is this." But when things are so subtle, sometimes we don't drop into the feeling. And I know within readings, and I'm curious how you are too, if I have a feeling attached to a visual, I know that I'm in the energy. If I just see the visual, I just go, well, okay, I got aspects of it. But when I had that feeling, I'm there.
Yeah, it's all about the feeling. It's all about the perception of it. It's all about the feeling. You can't have one without the other if you're working with color. You might see it, you might hear it, you might smell it, but you have to feel it in your soul and your solar plexus and your heart to know the meaning of it and how it's applying.
Whether it's
For
visuals or
me,
color. Okay. Yes. I do think it roots us down. It takes the energy down further when we are in our feeling center. Feeling
yeah,
so important in the human body. So I really do believe there's an aspect of that that's so
yeah.
important. Um, whether it is visuals or color, how do you find that your clairvoyance comes forth within mediumship versus psychic or healing?
Okay. So, God, there's a lot of different answers, but and I don't know if this is the correct one, but let me just go for this. So when I'm doing mediumship, I feel the energy coming in from behind me. I feel the energy of spirit kind of dropping in behind me. I start getting a little visual, maybe a little stick figure. I start getting, and then I bring that in a little closer and I start feeling. And when I'm connecting with the spirit world, there's a communication kind of going back and forth. When I'm connecting psychically, I connect my soul into my energy, into your energy. And that's a sense of power going this direction for me, straight on, back and whether you're on Zoom or somebody's in another, you're on the telephone, it's still a connection I feel here in my heart center or solar plexus. And that feels It just feels completely different. It's not as light and it's not as tinkling as a spirit energy comes to me. And then there's more of a, communication. Is that the question? Is that what you
I
asked me?
I think it's great because you're talking about how you connect with the energy. And do you find within your clairvoyance, do you find that things come to you differently in a psychic reading than a mediumship reading with how you visualize things, or do you feel it's quite similar?
I feel it's similar actually, because I often visualize something and then once I see it, then I know it. Once I see it, I explore it. And when I'm in a visualization, I'm getting, because that's my strongest sense is clairvoyance. Once I see it, I try not to move my focus away from what I'm seeing. Okay, I'm seeing a door. Well, let's stay with the door. Who's walking in the door? What color is the doorknob? Who's on the other side of the door? What are they wearing? What's their jewelry? Why are they wearing that jewelry? Oh, their mother gave her this piece of jewelry and you're the blah, 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 blah. You know how that works. So I stay with it. And I feel my way into the atmosphere of the picture that I'm seeing.
And
And when
then
I'm doing spiritual work, it's not all that different, honestly. It's just a lighter energy for me. It's a lighter, more tinkling, more sparkly energy, and more of a communication with back and forth. Because when I'm working psychically, the person isn't really talking to me. I'm reading their soul energy, their information that came in with them when they were born. I'm tapping into their energy. So knowingness will start to drop in, but it just feels a little more dense and a little more forward to me.
the type of healing work that you do, you also do space clearing.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Can you talk
So,
about that?
yeah. So I have a lot of friends in the real estate business and here where I live. And I started doing, first of all, I love working with ritual. I love sound bowls. I love big feathers. I love incense and herbs. And, I have a background in just liking to learn more and different, um, hoodoo or Wiccan or Native American or Celtic. There's so many different ways to clear a room. So I just started playing with things and I started doing cleansings for people and especially for people's houses that wouldn't sell. And I found that, or they found that the houses were selling. So there's certain things I like to do. So I love to do energy clearing. I clear my little space every day. It doesn't have to be a deeper one. When I clear a space, I make definite positive affirmations when I'm doing it. I burn various things depending on if I'm letting go of energy, if I'm clearing out negative or I'm bringing in. And I don't even like to say negative. I just like to say unwanted energy, bring in energy for our highest good. I'm call on angels, spirit guides, lump in spirits, or I just ask the universe to help. And I love, love, love doing it. And there's so many great books on it where you can find things out. You can also clear people that are in the space. You can clear objects in the space. You can clear around the space with salt to keep some presence out. I often find, for instance, when you're trying to sell a house, that the people that own the house may be very attached to the house and they
Ah,
don't want to let it go.
that's very wise too. Yes.
I was in Virginia visiting a girlfriend and they had bought a new house and their house had fallen out of escrow 3 times and they really had to sell it. So I actually had to be there in person. I went over to the house. I could really easily see what's going on. We cleansed the whole house. Then I cleansed my girlfriend. Her name's Jill. She was holding on to this house and she was especially holding on to her spirit. She had these gorgeous trees in the backyard and she was really attached to them and they were attached to her as well. So we cleared that cord, she can come visit. We cleared that. And then I had her shift all her love to some of these things onto some crystals and I buried them in the yard. So we just
Ah,
did some various techniques that we came up with. I spent a long time in that house though, because she was really attached. And believe it or not, that house sold and they had the check in their hand within 3 weeks. So that
ah.
was really exciting for me. And I had to work with Jill. She had to let go of her attachment to that house. So clearing spaces is fun.
There's a lot of different things that hold people back.
Yes. And,
And
I like rituals, so I like using all that. You don't have to. You can just start writing it down. You can let go of it through the written word. You don't really have to. You can clap and break up energy. You don't have to have all these special props and essences and stuff to do your own clearing. You can do it with your mind. You can do it with your intention. You can do it with whatever you have around the house.
it's about moving the energy. And so
Yeah.
whether it's for clearing a space, a house, or even themselves, a soul reading, a psychic mediumship reading, where can people find you?
They can find me. And Kelly, what's your favorite way of, I'm just curious, what's your favorite way of space clearing?
My favorite way of space clearing. So I work with people more than spaces, but one of my favorite ways actually is with sound. Like I don't really work with
Yeah.
sound with people, but I like sound with spaces a lot because I feel there's a lot of density in the air and that needs to be broken up, or to spray things or put like smoke to move the air, to
Yeah.
move the density of what makes the space come alive, or to have fresh energy. That's my favorite way to work with the space.
Yeah, me too. And also, do you do, I've had years of doing paranormal investigations, and that's one of the things that made me really sensitive to the space around you. Do you do any paranormal investigation, Kelly?
Not really. I just kind of started getting into that within the last year.
That's a lot of fun.
I've had some experiences since. So yeah, I've had a handful in a short amount of time, but that's very fascinating too, because you're tapping into a whole different part of what's going
Yeah.
in to the energy of the house, whether it is something, let's say, more expected or unexpected. So there's different layers at play depending on the severity of why the house doesn't sell.
It's true.
There's other
It's true.
agendas going on beyond just brick and mortar and the owner sometimes being attached, I would say, but that's more rare. That's more of a rare occasion.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Okay, so you can find me I'm at maggiewinokur.com. Kelly, you probably have a link to that somewhere.
Yep. It's I popped it down at the top.
Yep.
Um, Sometimes I ask if there are any other platforms that people can come and connect with you through, or if you have preference for people to come find you additionally from places other than the website. So
So you can look for me on Facebook and Instagram. I am not very techy and have not done a good job of promoting myself throughout the internet. So I don't even have this on my Facebook page. And I've been a working psychic medium, for 4 years now in this particular field. I also am a breathwork facilitator. I believe a lot in the breath. And
ooh,
that's been a really fun thing. I also host retreats. I have a beautiful, beautiful estate in Malibu. It's called Soul Canyon Malibu, and I host spiritual retreats. I collaborate with a lot of different people, spiritual wellness. I have one coming up on the 17th of February, and it is breathwork and past lives. So that's going to be really interesting. It's going to be connected to my Facebook, and I think it's connected now to my Facebook. It will be on my website, but yes, I'm not really
perfect.
good.
I'm glad I asked because I didn't know. That's
Yeah,
amazing. Please post that. I'm sure a lot of people want to
I'm
be part of
collaborating
that.
with Allison and Jules. You know them.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
Oh, then that's gonna be fantastic. It's
yes,
led
we're
by very grounded professional people with a lot of love and compassion and
they're
yes,
so good at
so
past life work. They've been doing it
oh,
for a very, very long time, personal coaching through past lives.
you got me curious. You
Yeah.
definitely got me curious. I always give guests the last word too additionally, and that is sharing something, whether it's a belief you have, an inspiration off the cuff, or even pulling something around you and saying, I think this needs to be shared. So, whatever comes to you in whatever way, if you can share the last word with us.
Okay. Well, I want to just thank you again for having me on, and thank you for everybody for listening. This has been absolutely amazing. I feel really blessed to have been here. And one of my favorite sayings from Colin, actually, and I need to remind myself of this every day: but you are the magic that makes the miracle. And have a wonderful, blessed day today. Thank you.
I love that. I do. With that said, thank you so much, Maggie, for being with us here today. It's been an awesome time and pleasure. Please, everybody, you will see us next week on the Psychic Hour, as well as we'll relaunch the Numerology Hour. So until then, please, everybody, go with love, light, laughter, and don't forget to live. Take care. See you next week.
Thanks. Bye.